𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 also known as Vitinha. Obrigado, obrigado, obrigado. PSG lost the game today, but Vitinha won it. PSG lost the game today, but Vitinha won it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say the quiet part out loud. You may not be ready for this uncomfortable news, but ladies and gentlemen, 𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬𝙬 is the best football player in the world currently. No. At some point, you got to go and say it. Vitinha, a hat trick. Vitinha, forget the best midfielder. He was the best midfielder a while back. This guy is in the conversation for being the best player in the world. Currently, Vitinha is on track to win a Ballon d'Or. Obviously, there's still lots to go and do. Champions League, World Cup. But currently, I would have him as my front runner. Goodness me. Madre mia. Vitinha this season, and it's not up to date yet, has 10 GA. Today with this game, that is 13 GA in 18 games. As a midfielder. 18 GA as a midfielder. Again, I'm not saying that, of course, because you're a midfielder, you're not expected and GA shouldn't come. But listen, if you are a midfielder, a deep-lying midfielder at that, and you're getting this kind of output, you guys, at some point, you got to go and say, my bad, Vitinha, I was not aware of this game. I was not aware of this level of your game. I knew you were good. I knew you were talented. I knew you're better than Pedri. But this level, Vitinha, Victor Machado Ferreira, you are already a PSG legend. C'est quoi ce match de dinguerie? Goodness me, Vitinha. 3 goals. First goal, a bombasso, a banger, bar down. We're down, he gets us in. Second goal, once again, we're down, no problem. Call Mr. Vitinha, Señor Vitinha, El Profesor. Bang, 2-2. Then provokes the penalty. It's not some Fugazi thing where, he gets it. It's his shot, handball on Romero, takes the penalty himself, slots it in, hat trick. His first ever senior hat trick. All I know is that there's a little fellow, at Barca. I don't think he's got a hat trick, but hey, we're not here to talk about that. Victor Machado Ferreira. I need to start the video off with that. Vitinha is the best player in the world. Vitinha, for a while now, has been the best midfielder in the world. He is now the best player in the world. If you disagree, I can hear it. But the midfielder stuff, if you disagree, go argue with the wall. Go argue with the wall. Turn the mirror around, record a video, and argue with yourself if you want to go and do that. But Vitinha, for me, long since has been the best midfielder, is now in the conversation for being the best player in the world. C'est quoi cette dingue? What a game. Even though he also, despite all that, he cost us a goal. That second 𝙀𝙀𝘿𝑾𝘼𝑎𝑙𝑙𝑾𝑚𝑒𝑛𝑔 goal, it's on him. But you know what? I forgive. Vitinha, all is forgiven. All is forgiven. Because when you go and you score, that first goal alone, I would have forgiven you. The second goal, left foot, bang, and then a penalty that you provoked. Vitinha, chapeau l'artiste, respect. I was not familiar with your rhythm. But to get on to the game, PSG 5 and Tottenham Hotspur 3. And honestly, guys, as you guys know, this is a bit of a particular game for me. Obviously, PSG is my team. I'm a PSG fan first and foremost. But, Spurs is my team too. So this was a bit of a weird one. But obviously, I want PSG to go and win. We did the job. We did what we need to do. And first and foremost, I'm going to go and say, because I will try to also talk about Spurs in this game as well. I thought Spurs played very well today. I thought Spurs competed very well, especially given, the performance on Sunday. I thought Spurs gave a very, very, very good rendition of themselves and were able to go toe-to-toe with PSG. And this time around, if you want to look at it, it's not like they came up with some haphazard PSG team. Even though arguably the PSG team they faced in the Super Cup final was better and we had more of our better players and whatnot, I think this team is better just because of the fact that PSG team that they saw at the UEFA Super Cup had 7 days of preseason training in them. This time round, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 definite starters, and you could argue 𝙎𝙾𝙖𝙖𝙾𝘼𝙎 is, half semi-starter and whatnot. And the only players that you would say are definitely not starters are 𝙀𝙬𝙖 and 𝙀𝙪𝙨𝙾𝘼. And despite that, you went and you gave PSG a game, you led twice, and you could argue if it wasn't for, some silly mistakes and whatnot, they could have been a draw here, or even could have won the game. So honestly, respect to Spurs. They played at PSG. They caused us a lot of issues. We weren't able to have the possession. So fair play to Spurs. I will go try to get on to that as well and talk about a couple of the Spurs players here today. But I need to start talking about PSG. And with PSG, to go and talk about just globally of the game, bro, we were bad today. We were bad today. I mean, obviously, ultimately, we got the result, and that's the most important thing. And with that result, so before I forget anything, it does mean that PSG are currently second in the Champions League behind Arsenal because they beat Bayern. So ecstatic about that. Happy we're second, and it means that realistically speaking, a win and a point, as in win and a point over the last 2 games probably gets us guaranteed at least into the top 8. But apart from that, I was not impressed with our performance. I thought today, it's not like we were just lackadaisical. We didn't have any intensity. We were slow defensively. We were poor. This is now 3 goals in this game. We conceded again. Did we concede against? I don't know. We didn't concede against that, but we're conceding too many goals. Going back and looking again at the table here, even though despite PSG being second, and if I'm not mistaken, PSG, we've scored the most goals. Just quickly looking here, PSG have scored the most goals with 19 goals thus far in this group stage, which is only the closest team to us is Borussia Dortmund with 17. But despite that, we've conceded 8 goals, and only Dortmund in this case again have conceded more goals of any team that's in the top 10. So defensively, I'm sorry, I have to go and say it. We have regressed, and significantly so based on last year. We are not nearly as robust as we were last year. Even though last year wasn't, what we were known for by any means and whatnot. But we could hunker down. We could keep a game tight when we needed to. But now we're leaking in goals left, right, and center. We're giving up way, way, way too many chances. And when I go in and look, even at the stats, funnily enough, despite PSG winning, Spurs had the higher XG. 2.06 to them, 1.76 to us. Of course, we outshot them. We had more shots on target. But in terms of big chances, they had the same amount. You only think the Vitinha one. It's a 1 in 1,000 shot. You think the one that the second goal, the Fabian Ruiz one, that's a higher XG chance. But again, it's a mistake from them. The penalty from Vitinha, as well. So realistically, you remove our penalty and our XG goes down to probably 1. So not at all a good performance on us. And I just think defensively, we are really, really, really looking shaky. And we're going to have to make some adjustments there. I don't know what needs to be done. We just do not look so calm every single time, especially from free kicks, corner kicks, and whatnot. We sort of got down packed at the end of last year. But now, granted, Tottenham, Spurs were a good team. They're a good team, on set plays and whatnot. But this, especially that second 𝙀𝙀𝘿𝘾𝘼𝙎 goal, I was like, please do not concede a goal from a set play. Bang, they go and do so. It's just a bit too easy for us. Again, the first goal again comes from a cross, headed by 𝙀𝙀𝘀𝘼𝑗, goes tap in for 𝙬𝙬𝘀𝑼 so I don't know. Down defensively, we really need to improve. And I thought defensively today, it just wasn't good enough. Even though Patrick, gets his goal here today, Marquinhos, I don't know what the issue is particularly. I think we just need to actually train on set pieces because I guess, or specifically just handling crosses. It was an issue with Gigio. It is, I guess, also now an issue also with 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝘾𝑗𝑖. And is it a keeper issue? Is it a personnel issue? At this point, I don't know. All I know is that there's a problem and it needs to be fixed. Addressing the team overall as a whole, again, I just don't think we don't look back to our best self. And this time around, you can't, as I said previously, you can't really use the excuse of, we've got plenty of injuries. Yes, Dembele obviously didn't start here today. Neither did his 𝙀𝙬𝘖. He's not fit and whatnot. And Hakimi's obviously not here. But apart from that, this is basically, your strongest lineup. Bar those 3 players who don't, granted, are, 3 key major players and whatnot. Apart from that, everybody else is fit and healthy. And there's no excuse. I thought, 𝙀𝙀𝘿𝘾𝑗𝑖 here, I'm seeing 8.3. As in, I know he completed the most dribbles in the game, but the same game I watched, I thought 𝙀𝙀𝘿𝑗𝑖 had a poor game today. He just didn't do much. Barcola did nothing. I don't know what it is, his fatigue, or if it's something Barcola needs to sharpen up. 𝙀𝙬𝘖, I mean, here I think being a 7.6 is pretty generous, and I love 𝙀𝙀𝘖. He's young, he's from Paris, he's Cameroonian like I am and whatnot, but I think putting him in a game like this, it wasn't it. I think there were touches that he was putting astray, that there was passes that he wasn't doing, controls and whatnot, that it just looked like he was too excited. He looked like an 18-year-old coming into and playing his first Champions League game, right? Which I guess you go and say, then what's the problem with that? It's not like he wasn't calm. He looked like he was rushing things. In fairness, he did have the spirit, the energy, the hunger to go and chase down, and he got his first, ever goal contribution for PSG, which is nice. But I don't think it was the wisest thing to go and start him, and especially given that you had 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝘼𝙎𝙏 on the bench, who I thought could have and probably would have offered you a lot more. And unless he was injured or something, I thought he should have made an appearance. Should have made an appearance here today. Other news: we had Nuno Mendes, who had to come off at halftime. I'm assuming there was it. I hope it's just injury prevention, or he was feeling something. He wasn't feeling fully fit, and hopefully it's not emblematic of further things to come in the future. Because we already had him out for a bit. We can't be going without both our starting left back and our starting right back, and especially given who came on from afterwards, we can't be going and doing this. In fact, let me address this now. Lucas Hernandez, I don't know what were you thinking, man? What were you thinking? Like, as soon as I saw, even when I saw the action in real time, it's a straight red. It's a straight red. Like, this guy, Lucas Hernandez, you're 29 years old. You're a senior veteran. You're a World Cup winner, a dual-time Champions League winner. You should know better that if you go and you've won the ball, you've checked him, okay, fine, and extending your elbow. He did the exact same thing at the Club World Cup quarterfinals against Bayern Munich on Guerrero and got sent off, and rightfully so. Why are you lashing out like that? There is no need for that. And luckily, this was in the 90th minute, and it didn't have too many adverse effects on us. But even still, that's now, and potentially based on what Nuno Mendes has, we don't know if he's out for, let's say, for example, for a couple weeks and whatnot. That's you in the Champions League that you can't play, and it was a straight red. So that's minimum a game or two. So I really do not understand what was going through your head. Now it just. Like, I get this, playing one, play physical, so on and so forth. You're winning the game. You're on your keeper. You've already beat your man to the ball and whatnot. There's no need to extend your elbow and to protect. Like, je comprends pas. Voilà, Lucas, s'il te plaît, arrête. Lucas, s'il te plaît, arrête. Oh, goodness me. Other than that, to go and talk about Spurs, I think I've addressed basically everybody here. I think Warren was actually pretty good for us today. Like, for example, I thought he was better than Barcola. This is why sometimes I don't understand these FOTMOB ratings. I thought he was better than Barcola. I thought he was probably better than Marquis. I thought he was good. He got the ball. He made progressive runs. He won tackles. I thought Warren had a pretty decent game today, all things considered. Senor Fabian 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙼𝘎𝙏, absolutely magnificent again today. And João Neves, again, typical João Neves stuff, was the player with the foul the most, won the most duels. PSG have the best midfield in the world. I am not hearing it from everybody. Not only do you have the best midfield in the world, you could argue you have the second best midfield in the world in João Neves, and Ruiz is up there as well. Well, just the midfield trio as well. There is not a single team in Europe that comes and sits at PSG stable. Not a single one. But yeah, I think I've addressed everybody. I wanted to quickly talk about 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙼𝘾𝙖𝙎. As in, I've heard some people go and say that, how am I defending him? Now that I go back and I think of it, I think that perhaps the second goal where he comes out, I guess you could go and you can say that he's at fault for that one. And it is difficult to defend, because I would rebut and say, first and foremost, that the first goal, there's not much you can do about it. It's a cross that comes in, it's shot, hit it across. There's not much you can do there. It's just poor defensively. Fair. The second one, though, he comes out for the cross, mistimes it, doesn't read it properly. It gets hit. Pacho was able to clear it initially. It falls to 𝙀😾. He goes, shoots it, bows, bang in. I think he should be doing better there. But then the third one, it's just a really good shot by 𝙀😾, and there's not much he could do. But what I will say is that he's not saving you games, ultimately. But again, I think it's fair to go and say he's not been good. He's definitely not been, a good keeper, or he's not been at the level that you'd expect of him. He was very good in the RAV game, not nearly as good today. We need some consistency. We can't be having, Mount Rushmores or a roller coaster of a keeper. We need some consistency. However, I will go and tell people once again that this is what Donnarumma was doing week in, week out. Like, I'm not going to allow for this rewriting of history that all of a sudden now Donnarumma was, the second coming of Christ, and he's always been good. He never cost PSG any time, at any moment and whatnot. Donnarumma had stinkers as well. But at this point, hey, Lucho's made his choice. I don't think that he should have made the choice, but hey, we move. In Lucho, we trust. And that gets me on specifically regarding the goals that we need to talk about. Randall Kolo Muani. Goodness me. Goodness me. At this point, I don't know what to go and say. I think maybe it's an audition. Maybe he wants to come back to PSG. I don't know why to go and say it. But 𝙀𝙀𝘾𝘼𝙎𝙾, franchement, chapeau l'artiste. And honestly, I knew it was going to happen. It was bound to happen. 𝙀𝙀𝘾𝘼 comes back to PSG, scores 2 goals and gets an assist. And if it wasn't for 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝘼𝙎𝙏 Vitinha, he would have been the man of the match. 2 goals, an assist, involved in every single one of their goals. I don't know why they took him off in the 84th minute. He was definitely their best spark, but generational performance by 𝙀𝙀𝘾𝘼. Absolutely generational performance by him. Not much else to go and say. He was absolutely excellent today. Wow, voilà, chapeau l'artiste. First goal goes, wins the header, bang. Second goal, good shot, and then goes, take the third goal. Again, it's a mistake by Vitinha, takes the ball, dribbles past, I think between, was it Pacho and Hernandez, goes, shoots it hard. Great finish. So it's unfortunate that it has to be against us. It always seems to be. I just had a feeling that up next PSG player, whether it was him or 𝙎𝙬𝘾𝘼𝙎𝙬, Siemens, one of them was going to go and score a goal. It was bound. It was written in the history books. And listen, at least if I had to choose of any player, I would want 𝙀𝙀𝘾𝘼. I actually like 𝙀𝙀𝘾𝘼, and I want him to do the best. And hopefully this is going to be a good springboard for him at Spurs. But other than that, I just want to talk about Spurs more generally. I thought they were a lot better. They looked a lot better. They caused PSG issues. They pressed us well. They didn't allow PSG to really get into the rhythm of the game. I thought they defended, generally speaking, quite decently. And so I think there's a lot of positives for them to go and take. And there's no harm in going and losing 5-3 to PSG away, especially going and being able to score 3 goals against us. There's no issues. And also the fact that, I mean, especially I'm just thinking about specifically the Fabian Ruiz goal, the one that gave us the 3-2 lead. That was a goal of their own making. If they don't go, if they're sharper on the ball and whatnot, they don't lose that, they're still in the game potentially, and then who knows what happens afterwards. So I definitely go and say that Spurs definitely can go and leave this game with their heads held high. There's a lot to learn from this, and it's at least a stark improvement from the Arsenal game. And in fairness to go into Spurs, you'd have to go and say that with these two teams, you've arguably faced 2 of the top 3 teams in the world with PSG and Arsenal in successive games. And granted, you've taken 9 goals, so that's not great. But there's been an improvement based on the previous Arsenal game. So if there is any positive, I would go and take that. Hopefully they're going to be able to go. I just want to quickly go and look at, obviously in the table, PSG are second. Spurs are currently 16th. So last year, I believe, just to quickly, I think it was you needed like 15 points to guarantee you a spot in like at least the top 24. They're 8 points, as in they should still be able to qualify at least through the playoffs. I think there's 3 games left. I just want to quickly look at Spurs' remaining Champions League games to go and see who they have to play. They're currently, or is there Spurs fixtures? So they have Slavia Praha in the Champions League for their final game in 2025, and then next year they have Dortmund at home, and then they got Frankfurt. So in fairness, those are not easy games. I guess you'd expect them to go and beat Slavia Prague. The game against Dortmund, that's going to be tough. Let's be generous, they get a draw, and then let's say they can eke out a result against Frankfurt. If you get 7 points, they're currently on 8 in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. 8. 7 points, that gets you 15, that gets you through. So it's not over. In fact, 50 definitely gets you through, because 16 last year got you into the top 8. So it's not over for Spurs. They're not like they can be in a worse position. But I think there are good things to go into to take from this game. But that's been about it for today. Again, I just want to go and reiterate again, Vitinha is the best midfielder, the best player. What a player he is, man. What a player he is. I hope Vitinha stays at the club for as long as he needs to go. In fact, Vitinha, you can retire at the club. In fact, Vitinha, if you need to, you can come, retire at the club, become a manager at the club, become the sporting director, and have a stand named after Vitinha. What a player you are. Obrigado, Vitinha. Thank you guys very much. And thank you to all of you guys. Thank you guys to everybody that was on the watch along. It was a pleasure having you guys all on it. And hopefully I'll see you guys soon. And with that, thank you guys very much. And remember, stay safe, stay kind, and stay blessed. Godspeed.